You mentioned that you were at the rally in Boston. I actually was there too. But like I didn't actually see you there because there was like over 20,000 people there.
Yeah.
People don't know this. I don't know if people outside of Boston caught this, but it was actually the largest political rally in the history of Boston. Bernie actually broke Barack Obama's rally record by a large amount. And when Obama had his rally, I think he had like 15,000, and Bernie had somewhere between like 20 to 30,000, probably around the 25,000 is, again, who knows these exact numbers. But when Obama had his, it was further on in his campaign where he was already, looked like he was going to be the nominee at that point when Obama actually had his huge rally. And Bernie, with very little media coverage, at least also very little positive media coverage for sure. Well, usually when there's coverage about Bernie, it's like, the socialist, he can't win kind of thing. Even with that negative media coverage, he had the biggest political rally by crowd in Boston history, which was actually a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, his campaign is it's being run very well. You know, they're getting the word out, and they're energizing, you know, these people that are likely voters, right? And people are showing up for him, and I love it. I walked around. It was a little odd. This was something that was a little odd that we did the day before the rally. Is we were trying to spread the word about the show that we're doing, and so we went out with like some signs, you know, for Bernie Sanders and for the show, and we were walking around and we were just talking to people in Boston, and a lot of people knew who Bernie Sanders was, but the three most common responses that we got was the first one was somebody going, oh yeah, I like Bernie Sanders. That guy seems all right. I think I'll either vote for him or Donald Trump. Right? It's very strange. I don't know how they draw that like parallel there.
I think that there's actually, I thinking about it, what's interesting, and I actually why a lot of, I know a lot of like sort of centrist Democrats are all like, oh, Hillary has the best chance of winning. I actually think that the appeal to for both Bernie and Trump is that they are both running populist campaigns. Trump's populism is like a crazy right-wing populism, though, where it's like, let's kick 15 million immigrants out of the country. It's like dangerous populism. But they're both tapping into the feeling that something's not right in this country. And, Bernie wants to raise wages, make college free, make the country more equal. Donald Trump wants to tap into that feeling and, get rid of all Latinos, essentially. So, and cut taxes for the rich. But it is that they both are tapping into that very real feeling that something's not right. Things aren't right, things are messed up. So it's like, so I actually think that like this election, God forbid somehow Donald Trump gets the nomination, a Donald Trump versus Hillary would be kind of scary just because like, can Hillary run a legitimate populist campaign kind of thing, and she probably would still win, but I actually think a left-wing populism versus right-wing populism, I think the left-wing populism wins because it actually really is more about helping out people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think it's totally true. People see that there's a lot of money in this country and that it's not, and that most people are not seeing that or having a very not to say easy time with their life, but people have a tough time, getting by right now. And there's huge profitable companies. And then, so I think we more democratic minded people think like, oh, look at these huge, profitable companies. They're ripping us off. And the more right wing conservative people are going, oh, these immigrants and all these people taking up our money that we pay taxes for, they're ripping us off,
Right.
So I think both sides have an idea of like where they think the money is going, and neither one's happy with how things are right now. Just like you said, man, I think, definitely I can see why people, it's odd that people would say, I would vote for Sanders or Trump, but now, after what you just said, I sort of get that.
Yeah, I mean, and like again, I think people voting for Trump, it's crazy, but he is kind of tapping into that feeling, but he's also funneling it into like hatred and horribleness, and sexism and racism and xenophobia, which is a horrible thing to be doing. So you said there was is there a third type of person you were saying?
Oh, so the three types of people were people that were saying they'd either vote for Trump or Sanders. Mm-hmm. The second type was those people that were just like, hey, Bernie Sanders, that guy's great. Feel the burn.
Yeah.
And then the third type was a person that would just be like, who's Bernie Sanders? I haven't heard of him. And I'm like blown away by it, because I'm like inundated with stuff from Bernie every day. My entire Twitter and Facebook and everything. All of my friends talking about him, So I don't know if it's an age thing, because a lot of those people were a little older, or what it is, but there were a few people that were unsure who he was, and we were out there. We spent some time talking to people and letting them know, and let them know what Bernie's all about. So it was good. It was a good day. Yeah,
I mean, it's weird. I think that like people who are a little politically active have a hard time. There's a good percentage of the country that doesn't follow politics at all for numerous reasons. I mean, it might just be that they're working 50 hours a week, or they're doing so many jobs they don't actually have time to actually watch something. Or maybe they mostly just watch network news or something like that. Or even worse, they watch Fox News or something, which they'll know even less. But yeah, it really is interesting. What was kind of cool on the rally this weekend, my aunt and uncle, who are kind of old, I say this with a lot of affection, kind of crusty lefties but they live in Kansas. They actually came, and they were in town just visiting, and they went to the Bernie Sanders rally, and they knew who he was, but like leaving after the speech, they were both like, oh yeah, this was great. They were like full on like, yeah, this is the guy we're going to support here, which is like, I think generally the more people find out about, and people might know, oh, Bernie Sanders, socialist from Vermont, but actually when people actually listen to him, the more they find out about him, the more they seem to like him, which is actually a very big positive, which I don't think a lot of candidates necessarily have that upside when people actually listen to him. And again, even like people who like Trump, when they hear Bernie, they're like, oh yeah, he's kind of saying the same kind of stuff Trump likes. So I think the upside of a Bernie Sanders campaign is hopefully pretty big.
Yeah, I think once like most of America starts really seeing Bernie, because I assume a lot of this stuff has been targeted towards me and people like me, and so I've seen him a lot more than other people. But I think once most of the country sees Bernie, they're gonna like what they see. And I mean, could you imagine? Because when he talks, he's got you. Could you imagine a scenario where Bernie is going up against like Ben Carson? You have to, between those two speakers, you have to go like, oh, which one do I like better?
Right.
So I think it's just gonna sort of be this snowballing effect where the more people that like him, the more people can see him, and the more people that like him.